years, 9,000 seats. They felt like that was really all they need. Right across the street, they've got 80,000 seat Jordan Hare Stadium, and this building sits on Heisman Street here at Auburn, which, if you didn't know any better, if you weren't paying attention driving in here on 85, you would have thought you had turned into Clemson. They're so similar, except as we like to say, Auburn is Clemson minus the lake, right? But anyway, we're happy to be here. Of course, Clemson's got a big one tonight as well at home against Miami as the Tigers continue to work on what they've got going on, which is a very nice 2-game winning streak from last week with wins on the road at North Carolina and Syracuse. So we're going to talk all about that tonight. 6:35, though, we'll talk baseball. Gary Gilmore, in his final season as the head baseball coach at Coastal Carolina, will join us to preview the shots for this coming season. Looking forward to that. In some way, looking forward to talking baseball as Chris Bergen joins us from the Berge Palace. But then again, Chris, kind of sad. It'll be our last season opening interview with Gary Gilmore after all these years.
One of the legends in the sport stepping away. And how about this from a Coastal perspective? This athletic season, they will have lost Cliff Ellis as men's basketball coach, and then will ultimately lose Gary Gilmore as head baseball coach. You want to talk about two of the legendary coaching names, and just not in our state, but across the country. Coastal is going to have to replace both of them in the coming weeks and months. And yeah, it's going to be a shame because Gary Gilmore, not only is he an excellent baseball coach, he's just a good person. And he's so much fun to chat with and talk about his team. He'll tell us how rotten they are. They're not nearly as good as the preseason rankings. I'm telling you, this Coastal team could be extremely good, especially offensively. I don't know how you're going to get them out. And if they get some pitching, and he announced a few injuries for guys on that pitching staff today, but if they can find a way to get enough pitching to surround that offense, this is a team that could contend to go to Omaha.
Yeah. And, of course, the thing he's been battling personally with his cancer and his continued very brave fight against that. And, there was a time there that there was reason to be concerned. I guess there's always reason to be concerned, but he and his doctors in Houston, they've worked out a plan for him to extend everything for as long as they can. So far, so good with all that. He'll give us an update. He's very open in talking about what he's had and how he's been treating it. So we'll get an update from him on that. And then no John Combs tonight. Coach Combs is at a playoff game tonight. The playoffs continuing around the state, first round action. He's up at Malden, so he's not going to be able to be with us tonight. So we will miss him, but we will hear from somebody you're familiar with as we had those interviews with the Gamecock transfer football players last week. And one of the players we sat down to talk with was Jared Brown, who is coming from Coastal Carolina, wide receiver out of Georgia, and a guy that Coastal Carolina, Chris, caught a lot of passes, has really good speed. And Gamecocks, I think, kind of see him, if I can speak for them, maybe like an Amarian Brown type. Not a big guy, but a guy that fits in the slot, and you can run him in motion or do things with him and let him use his speed to get open.
Debo Samuel comes to mind. Maybe not the height that Debo has, but a guy that can run the football as well as be a wide receiver. And you take Nick Harbor off the field, he may be the fastest guy in that receiving corps. So I think he's a great addition for the Gamecocks. Hated to see him go from Coastal. Certainly happy to see him stay in state, though, and be able to play for USC. And I think he'll be a nice addition to that wide receiving room, and he'll make an impact. He really will. He's really will. He's got the talent to step on an SEC field and be a player.
So what'd you do on Valentine's Day today for your favorite Valentine?
Mowed the yard. All of our lives that are in the sports business are dictated by sports, right? So I'm thinking I'm out here mowing the grass on Valentine's Day in the middle of February, smack dab at tail end of wintertime. And I think, even here in South Carolina, I should be allowed to use sports to prevent the amount of time I have to work in the yard. So I'm thinking I should not have to mow the grass until the Masters is done. And then I should be able to stop mowing the yard when the Major League Baseball playoffs begin. It's about 7 months. That's plenty of time, right?
Yeah.
If we get any cold weather, have to deal with it anymore. I'd be a happy, happy camper. So I don't want to upstage Augusta.
Iowa State has fired men's head basketball coach Chris Holtmann.
Oh,
He is out, and he went to 4 NCAA tournaments. This was nearing the end of his 7th season in Columbus, but they were 5-15 in Big Ten play last year, 4-10 this year. Haven't won a road game since January 2023. The buyout is somewhere between 14 and 15.5 million dollars. Cannot emphasize enough. I think we all know from the outside looking in just how deep those pockets are in Columbus, Ohio. Well, there's already been a list of names that have come out there, and we've talked about it on this show before. What is it going to take to keep Lamont Paris here in Columbia? Certainly not saying any way, shape, or form there's any mutual interest or whatever, but it's worth talking about. There have already been countless articles online talking about the top candidates that may be looked at by Ohio State. Who's number one on that list? Again, according to these writers based out of Ohio, Lamont Paris. Also, he's born and raised an hour and 45 minutes northwest of Columbus, went to school nearby there, has a lot of connections to the Big Ten, so not just to the state of Ohio, but also to the Big Ten in general. And then there's also a number of other coaches, Dusty May at FAU, Chris Collins at Northwestern, Anthony Grant at Dayton, Josh Schertz at Indiana State, Buzz Williams, Texas A&M. So the list kind of goes on and on. Pat Kelsey is even on here from College of Charleston. So there are a lot of other candidates out there of equal caliber, or maybe even with a bit longer tenure at their respective schools. But again, we talk about here with the success Lamont Paris is finding here in Columbia at USC in just his 2nd year, people are going to come calling. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. What is the magic number it's going to take for Ray Tanner as AD to potentially keep Coach Paris here in Columbia?
And
Ray Tanner.
Pat Kelsey is another Ohio native too.
There you go.
Ray Tanner, how serious are you about basketball in Columbia?
You better get real serious.
You're going to have
Lamont
to pony.
Paris.
Yeah, yep. You're going to have to pony up. You're going to have to pony up because not only does this team look, as it looks, the future looks very bright.
No doubt.
They've got, coming back. Now, you never know with the transfer portal, John, the way it's used right now, who's coming back. You think these guys are coming back. You hope they're coming back. And we'll see who comes back. There's no reason to think that the guys who can come back won't come back as of today. And then the people he's recruited so far and the people that he is recruiting, got a chance to have something special in men's basketball in Columbia. You better hold it together. And, I'd have to go back and look at the numbers and see what he's getting paid right now. And I'll do that here in just a moment. But I'm sure there's plenty of room for his deal to be sweetened if it gets into a bidding situation. Then again, Ohio State, like you said, deep pockets. It is the home state. Those people do tend to overpay when it comes to competing against a place like South Carolina. Though South Carolina, Ohio State came after Dawn Staley a few years ago, right? I think the Gamecocks held their feet to the fire and did what was necessary to keep her. So he has a contract that he signed March 24th of 2022. It runs through March 31st of 2027. This is the initial contract. And ultimately, it's going to end up paying 2.6 in his last year. It goes up $100,000. So after this year, like this year, he's making 2.3 through the end of March of this year. So for next year, he's scheduled to make 2.4. So if things continue to go like they are, and they make the tournament, maybe win a couple of games or even go deeper, I would think that you would take the last 3 years because it's peanuts, which are giving him a raise to $100,000 raise after a year like this and the sellouts and all that. So I would say you take that, you tear it up, you probably go to somewhere in the neighborhood of $4 million. If you believe in him and believe in what they're doing program-wise, I think you tear it up and go back starting for next year, start at $4 million. And then increase from there. What do you think?
I'd have no problem with that because I think aside from Dawn Staley, I think Dawn Staley has been the greatest hire that USC has ever made in coaching. It'd be hard to argue otherwise. But if you just watch what Lamont Paris does, if you listen to him talk, the guy understands the game. He knows what he wants to see from his team. He knows how to develop a program. He turned Chattanooga around in a hurry. He's turning USC around in a hurry. If they lost Lamont Paris, I think it would be a tragic mistake on Ray Tanner's part. You've got to pay whatever it takes to keep him because that guy is going to build a winner. And I think he can build a sustainable winner, not a situation where they go to the NCAA tournament once every 8-9 years. I think it's a situation where they would contend to go, maybe not every year because it's never happened around here, but certainly once every 2 years, maybe once every 3 years. And I think Gamecock fans would be thrilled with that. And I mean, what are you going to do if he finds a way to win the SEC this year? I mean, that's not out of the realm of possibility, especially if they find a way to win tonight. They would have two of the greatest road wins in the SEC this season, at Tennessee and then at Auburn.
Yep.
I mean, you got to pay the guy. You got to keep him. I don't care what it takes. You've got to find a way to keep him.
Yeah.
And guys, just to add to this, you mentioned women's head coach Dawn Staley a few times. I can't help but wonder what her influence may be in keeping Lamont Paris here in town. She has essentially shown the blueprint in Columbia. If you build it, they will come, to use the old Field of Dreams reference. She has built a program here. Essentially, you could call it a dynasty. That's probably debatable at this point. But she, no doubt, has one of the top three, at worst, programs right now in women's basketball in the country. And they've led the country 7, 8, 9 years in a row now in attendance. She has shown if you build it here in Columbia, the Gamecock fans will come and they will fill out the Colonial Life Arena every night. And now we're starting to see that with the men's games, with the product Lamont Paris is putting on the court there. I can't help but wonder what influence Dawn Staley may have. She seems to be very supportive. You see her sitting courtside or very low seats, very good seats at a lot of the big USC men's games. And these two programs seem to really support each other well. They're at each other's ball games and just can't help but wonder about the relationship between these coaches. And if I'm Ray Tanner, I'm going to her and pleading with her, if it comes to it, help me convince him to stay here. Help me convince him that this is just as good of an opportunity, if not better, as going to Columbus, Ohio.
And I think, Phil, we also should look at the societal impact that Lamont Paris can have. First black head basketball coach in South Carolina, placed in the deep South, and the job he is doing, plus alongside Dawn Staley. I mean, they can make a major impact, not just on the floor, but also off the court in what they're able to do. And he's too good a commodity, I think. Much like if Dawn Staley ever left, that would be critically bad for USC basketball. I think you're starting to look that direction. I don't want to get over my skis here with Lamont Paris, but I think the guy is a winner. And if it comes down to a situation where Ohio State does come knocking on the door, Ray Tanner's got to slam it shut.
Well, this may speed up the process too. I mean, if you're Ray Tanner, you don't have to wait till the season ends to do something.
Do it tomorrow.
They've got a week off coming up after they play LSU Saturday. They're off all next week. That's their mandated 1 week off before they play again the next Saturday. Perfect time to have a sit down with your men's basketball coach and hammer out a new deal, or with his agent, and get it done, don't you think? Because at the very worst, they should split tonight and in LSU Saturday. That put everybody in a pretty good mood. They'd be at 22 wins. I mean, I'm not discounting them winning here tonight. They're 11.5-point underdogs. Could happen. Did the same thing at Tennessee.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to take a tremendous effort tonight, a tremendous effort to win this game. So you got that week. Why don't you get together with your people and go ahead and get it done and take him off the market? That's what you need to do. You need to have a sign out there to people that this hands off my coach. He's my coach. He's not going anywhere. And what's $4 million for a school that's in the SEC that is part of a deal that, just signed with ESPN for how many billion for the football playoffs? And that money will be shared among the 16 schools. And they're going to be increasing their payout to about 70-something million here in a year or two. Yeah, I would go ahead and get that done if you're serious about keeping your basketball program as a top 15 program.
And Phil, if you just want to look at it from on the court success, they win tonight, or LSU, their next win will match the program's record for the best turnaround from a previous season to the next season in school history. I mean, he's going to shatter that. It's an 11-win improvement from last season. Will be tied for the best single season turnaround. The 2003-2004 team won 11 more games than the 02-03 team did. I mean, he's going to shatter that. He may win 15, 16, 17 more games than they did last year.
Yeah. Plus, I really don't mind spending somebody else's money. It's not my money.
Exactly. Yeah, come on, USC. Open up the checkbook.
If I'm reading this correctly, though, there are currently only 5 SEC men's head coaches that do make north of $4 million. Just throwing that out. I'm sorry, 6. So throwing that out there.
Nothing wrong with 7 if you want to keep them. We'll be back. Gary Gilmore coming up.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Mostly clear this evening, a low dipping to 37. Tomorrow, another nice day. More sunshine and clouds, especially the first half of the day. Our high is 67. Look for the opposite on Friday with more clouds than sun. While on Saturday, it could be a rainy day for us. It'll also be cooler highs in the 50s. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
Hey, y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. This Valentine's Day, we're offering a great special. We're going to have prime rib dinner for two, which has 2 slow-roasted 10-ounce prime rib steaks cooked to order, served with 2 sides, 2 cookies, and 2 soft drinks for only $54.95 per couple. And while you're here, check out our new arcade with over 35 games you can play. So please come and enjoy a great Valentine's dinner at Flight Deck Restaurant. We're located in Lexington. Thanks, y'all, and God bless.
With us news, I'm Keith Peters reporting police say one person was killed in a shooting at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade. Kansas City Police Chief Stacey Graves said at a news conference Wednesday that one person is dead and 15 people were injured. It's not clear how many were injured by gunshots. Graves said 2 people have been taken into custody and has heard that fans have been involved in apprehending a suspect, but couldn't confirm that. Republican Speaker Mike Johnson says the U.S. House will not feel rushed to pass the $95 billion foreign aid package for Ukraine, Israel, and other allies. His private remarks Wednesday signal a further stall over sending military hardware and munitions that Kyiv badly needs to fight Russia. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 151 points. The Nasdaq rose 203. More details at srnnews.com.
Every month you get a power bill, and every time you look at it, you realize you have very little control of that bill. If you want to take some control, it's time to reach out and talk to the folks at Broker Solar. Listen, solar power is not for everyone. It is a commitment, but the rewards are well worth it, not because of the politicians and the media and the green this and the green that and that. It's worth it because it'll save you money on the long term. It'll give you control of your power bill, and there are some great tax advantages available. But you know what? You need to do your homework. Don't get fooled by the guy putting lawn signs in the grass, offering something too good to be true. I have known the owners of Broker Solar for more than 20 years. I trust Ken and his team, and I believe you should too. They are local. They are legitimate. I've been to multiple homes where they've installed solar power. The technology is phenomenal, and I am a believer. See for yourself. Online, it's brokersolar.com, or call Ken at 807-7417. That's 807-7417. It's Broker Solar.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory, American made for life.
Have you always wanted to hit Lake Murray at your own convenience? To own your own piece of freedom? A beautiful Crest pontoon or Sea Hunt center console? If you're ready to hit the water, your first stop should be Marine 360 on Johnson Marina Road. Scott and Brandon are great guys. They're local. They've been taking phenomenal care of folks around here since 2007. If you want a firsthand look, visit the Marine 360 display over at the Columbia Boat Show from the 16th through the 18th. You can get major boat show discounts with manufacturers' incentives, plus great rebates on remaining 2023 models. If you can't make the boat show, that's all right. Marine 360 is right on the lake. Visit the showroom, get a demo, see the best looking boats on the lake. You've been telling yourself for a long time you wanted to hit the water with your own boat. Well, now is the time. The selection is huge, so are the discounts. Online, it's marine360sc.com, or give Scott and Brandon and their team a call, 749-2360 to make an appointment. And remember, find Marine 360 at the Columbia Boat Show at the State Fairgrounds from the 16th through the 18th.
Okay, we're back on Sports Talk. We are here at Neville Arena at Auburn, South Carolina. Auburn going to tip off at 8:30 Eastern Time, 7:30 here in the Central Time Zone in Alabama. Coach Gary Gilmore from Coastal Carolina coming up in just a second. Some news in high school football. Big news. Dan Jones from Gaffney is going to retire after this coming season. 130 and 51 over 14 seasons. Clay Lewis going to retire at Chesney High School the end of the school year. The school district announced that. And Travis Miller told Pete Yanity he's stepping down as head football coach at Wade Hampton after 5 seasons to become the AD at York High School. So there you go. Folks announcing their retirements. None of them had the good sense to do what Coach Gary Gilmore did, to our surprise, last year, and drop the bomb on Sports Talk so the entire world would know about it at one time. We got him for one more year. This is our final preseason, prior to the season interview with Coastal baseball coach Gary Gilmore. Welcome in, sir. How are you? We hope you're doing well.
I'm doing outstanding. So how are you doing?
We're terrific. Thank you for joining us. And, well, first of all, most importantly, how are you feeling? How's everything coming along for you?
Oh, I just went to went to Houston last week for 3 days and went through all my tests and all that, and my cancer is all it's still been held in place, totally stable. Where it's at, and good Lord's given me another day. Each day I cherish every second of them.
Is that something you ordinarily do prior to the season? Go and get one more big checkup before you get into the season, and you're all tied up with that?
Basically, they have me on a 90-day regimen. Every 90 days I go, just so that even though I do monthly tests and all that kind of stuff, the real in-depth scans and things they do every 90 days out in Houston to be able to compare where it was when we started to where it is now. And, I've been very blessed with after my 14 months of chemo, maintenance drug has held it all in place. And, my guy thinks I can hang in there for a good while. So that's I'm very encouraged by it. I've been, very blessed still to be able to go out to Houston. That place is incredible, what they're able to do.
Well, that side of your story obviously is an amazing story, and it's good to hear that everything is going well. As you go into this season, and I know it's a long season ahead, and we'll get to that part later on about how you're feeling at the very end, but as you go into your final season, how are you feeling about it being your final season, where along the way, things that you do will be the last time you do them, whether it's in Conway or somewhere else?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I haven't. If people didn't remind me of it all the time, I don't think about it very much. I mean, I'm trying to coach the way I've always coached, and I'm not thinking about whatever being the last time I do it and this and that. I mean, it's just I don't know what the Lord has has for me moving forward once it all ends or whatever. But I'll find something that I can be productive and continue to try to do everything I can to make a difference in the world before I'm not here anymore. And I'm just enjoying a great group of kids and a great coaching staff that I have beside me and with me all the time. So I'll be honest with you, I don't think about it. I'll be honest with you, I don't talk about it with the players either. I mean, it's this year's about them, not about me. So I just want to enjoy it. I want to compete, and I'm one of the worst losers in the world. So hell, I'm ready to compete, and let's get after it and see what happens.
Absolutely. Visiting with Gary Gilmore, Coastal Carolina baseball coach, and you got some talent on this team based on what the folks are saying about this team and All-American teams that have come out here in the preseason. How do you like the look of this team coming out of camp and getting ready for the opening of the season on Friday?
I mean, this is going to be a very competitive team. we've had the misfortune of having some injuries to the pitching guys, so we gotta kind of regroup and figure some things out in that area. Position player club, could potentially be one of the better ones we've had. So we're gonna have to rely on them for a little while until we can figure out what adjustments we need to make. I mean, we lost we lost two of our starters from last year that we knew they were out, but we've also lost two of our very best bullpen guys, for the season. So that it just it just one of those things that there's nothing you can do about it. You just next man up, and I think we have ability. We just I just can't tell you right this minute that we've figured out now what the roles will be for everyone. Some guys are going to have to make some adjustments and some things that that we had planned on being able to do. So, but I think this team will respond. I do think it has enough talent to challenge at a high level, even with the absence of the guys we've lost.
Coastal head baseball coach Gary Gilmore with us here tonight on Sports Talk. Chanticleers open up the brand new baseball season this weekend with their annual Baseball at the Beach tournament. And, Coach, you're talking about guys from the pitching staff like Matt Potok and Jacob Morrison and Darren Horn and Matt Joyce. In terms of going into your bullpen now and possibly pulling spot starters out, how are you going to handle that rotation early? And then what do you hope to see out of that group as we get closer to Sun Belt Conference play?
I mean, we're just going to have to just keep, Chris, we're just going to have to keep running guys out there and kind of see, who responds and then in what way they respond. I mean, I'm not worried that we don't, I'm not worried that we have a lack of talent. It just, every kid that comes to you out of high school or whatever, I mean, 99% of those kids have never been a bullpen guy in their life. They all been starters, and so putting them in a 6th or 7th, 8th inning with a 1-run lead, and their first time out in college or whatever. I mean, we're gonna have some challenges, and there'll be a bump in the road here and there, and then it's gonna make us have to be offensive scoring runs. And one of the things I thought we didn't do as well last year is we have in the past. I don't feel like we defended, and it didn't show up in stats as far as errors go. We didn't cover the ground and the spaces out there to get the balls that we need to in the outfield, and the range in the infield was suspect to defend at a high level. So I'm hoping that we're going to be better at that. Hopefully we can pick the pitching staff up a little bit by being better defensively all around. It just comes down to guys throwing strikes and not walking guys and hitting guys and all that mess. And I think our offense, I think we'll have an offense that'll score some runs as time goes on.
That may be the understatement of the day. Your offense may score 30 runs a game, Coach, with Bodine and Beach and Bender. Just with that group alone, those three guys, how confident are you about your offense, knowing that you can write them into the starting lineup virtually every day and send them out there?
I mean, it's a major blessing to have all those guys. I mean, Graham Brown, he's a big bat force as well. I mean, Barthel's been an incredible player for us a year ago. Kid we brought in, Antonassi from Illinois. He was the JUCO Player of the Year. I tell you, he's been really good. Look for him to do some really good things. So, I think we have some, the nucleus to have some guys that can do things. It's, the biggest piece and something we've tried to have a ton of pride with over the years is being very diversified in our offense. We've kind of become more of a power laden team than we were a few years ago. Even though we hit home runs, 10 years ago, we hit more of them now. I think pretty much everybody does, but we're trying to get back to, where we steal, 125, 130 bases, and also be able to use our, the ability to dump the ball on the ground and have some athleticism throughout our lineup and stuff. So, so that, if they do keep the ball in the yard, we can find other ways to score and win. And, this team has a lot lot of good elements about it, and I love the makeup of the team. I think we'll be very competitive in the games as far as how we compete, how we go about things.
You've never been one since you've been at Coastal afraid to play anybody, anytime, anywhere. Coach, just looking at your schedule this season, this one appears to be, at least to me, one of, if not the most difficult schedules you've ever had. Did you do that because you're confident in what you had returning, that you feel like this will challenge your team before you get into conference play, and certainly, hopefully, when you get into NCAA tournament play?
No, I think I did that by accident. Not I did it before I announced my retirement. That was a bad move on my part. Man, but the thing people don't realize, though, honestly, I mean, 2 years ago we had I think the second or third most difficult out of conference schedule in the country. Last year it was either one or two again. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like playing in the SEC. I mean, whether you're playing the best team or the 10th place team, every weekend's a battle. Every midweek for us. I mean, you look at where our school is and the incredible ACC and SEC schools around us, and even you play Big South people like Campbell and Upstate. I mean, these teams are awesome. So I think I'm one that believes that you learn to be good by being forced to play good all the time. If you play really good people all the time, you can't have off days. You have to play at a very high level, and when you have to bounce around from high level to low level and things like that, I think it really messes with you. So I'm gonna always, at least when we played, trying to make it as very difficult as we can. And last year, man, our league was so difficult. It's probably the best that Sun Belt League has been in years, top to bottom. It was very, very good. So we'll see. I know everybody lost a bunch of guys. We were one of the few teams that that didn't lose quite as many people. So I know Troy's got a really good club, and there's several others. But I mean, last year, our league RPI was really good.
So who do you run out there this weekend as you open the season with baseball at the beach, as Chris alluded to? Who you got going out there?
We're gonna run Riley Eichhoff out there on Friday, and a Meckley kid, a transfer from Potomac State, on Saturday, and Ryan Lynch, kid out of California, on Sunday. And like I said, I'm my biggest concern right now is trying to figure out how to mix and match the other 7 or 8, 10 guys that we got to run out there on top of them. And like I said, it's going to be a little bit of a learning process of whose stuff really plays well after the starter. Who forces the hitters to make significant changes in their approach for one time through the order, and then who do you go to after that? We're just we thought we had a lot of that kind of planned out of how to use some guys, and now this is knowing that you 2 of the very best guys you have are out of the mix. And we lost Joyce last year. The poor kid's gonna have to have Tommy John surgery a second time, and my heart goes out to him, man. It's hard mentally to get through 1 year of not playing, and it's really difficult to have to suck it up and do it twice.
Who's the other one you lost?
Darren Horn.
Not the coach, Phil, the pitcher.
I get that. Out of Bluffton.
Yeah.
6'4",
yeah.
6'4", 200. Yeah. And so
he first half of the year last year, he had some of the most impressive stats in the country, and he had a good summer in the Cape. Not a fantastic summer numbers wise, but I mean his stuff is elite. His spin rates and all the things that big league people look at. I mean they're elite. It's elite stuff. And, we were hoping he would kind of have a breakout numbers year for us coming into this year. So it definitely was a blow to us. But I mean it just there's there's 2 or 3 young kids that have fantastic stuff that they're just going to have to grow up a little faster.
Well, we want to thank you for being with us once again. Have a great year, a healthy year, a great year on the field. Looking forward to going through it one more time with you here on Sports Talk. We'll talk to you many times. It all gets started this weekend, and we appreciate your time as always, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Listen, guys, thank you, fellas, very much. I look forward to seeing you. We got Conway. See you.
This is Lisa Hostetler-Brown. If you or a loved one are over 65 and haven't completed a long-term care planning consultation, now is the time. Did you know that if you aren't able to afford the high cost of skilled care, your assets can be rapidly depleted to only $2,000 unless you plan 5 years in advance? Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
When trouble comes like the accidents do, we all get sick and the bills pile too. There's only one number that can help see you through. And if you're healthy, here's what you should do. Call 605-7905. That's the number that you need to know. 605-7905. $0 deductible. What's a deductible, you say? That's the price you have to pay before the insurance will say we'll help you. They keep the number out of reach because they know that you won't reach that number because they know you're healthy. 605-7905. $0 deductible. 605-7905. 727 is the area code.
You put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Look no further than Founders Federal Credit Union for all your mortgage loan needs. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or upgrading your space, Founders has many loan options to fit your lifestyle and your budget, such as low fixed and adjustable rate and flexible terms. Plus, Founders never charges PMI, private mortgage insurance. Our mortgage loan officers are here to answer your questions and help you start the home buying process. Stop by an office or visit foundersfcu.com to apply for a mortgage today. Federally insured by NCUA, membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply. Equal housing lender.
Yeah, you know what it is. Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. Yeah, you know what it is. Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. Yeah, you know what it is. Everything I do, yeah. Hold up the line.
All right, thanks again to Coach Gary Gilmore for being with us. Beautiful day here in Alabama. Driving down to Auburn, kind of heading down to the Gulf Coast of Alabama if you want to keep on going down 85 to Mobile, which reminds me that I don't want to go to the Gulf Coast. I want to go to the Grand Strand of South Carolina, best beaches in the world right there in Pawleys Island and Garden City and Myrtle Beach and all up and down the Grand Strand. And you can make your plans for the summer for a great beach holiday by calling Jimmy Smith at James Smith Real Estate. That number is 843-237-4246 or online at PawleysVacationRentals.com. Let Jimmy take care of you and your family and put you in the right spot at the right budget. That's 843-237-4246 for your perfect beach getaway. All right.
Speaking of getaways,
yes,
you let Coach get away before I could ask him. I want an autographed Gary Gilmore bobblehead.
Oh yeah,
That's what they are giving to season ticket buyers at Coastal this year as a promotional tool to get a Gary Gilmore bobblehead.
And maybe
That'd be
members of
kinda
the
cool,
broadcast
wouldn't it?
crew, maybe members of the Chanticleer Sports Network.
That'd be awesome. I
Yeah.
would put that up there proudly with my CCU memorabilia. That may be my most prized possession that I have from the school.
Yeah.
An autographed, not just a regular. I want an autographed Gary Gilmore bobblehead.
Well, that would be very valuable too. Very, very
Yeah.
valuable. All right, before we hit the top of the hour, Gamecock Larry, of course, has been hanging on. So let's see. Hopefully he didn't fall asleep this time. Gamecock Larry, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Thank you, Mr. Phil. Why you always put me on before you go on hold? You ain't gonna give me no time. But I woke up this morning at 12:30. Couldn't go to sleep, but hold of apathy, and had too much on my mind. So I got up and been wheeling around here in my wheelchair. Didn't even listen to the radio this morning. Didn't even call in. But my buddy called me about 10 o'clock and said some guy from Auburn called, and he got to talking about, well, he said some things about me. I don't care what he said about me, though. But he said the game cost this and game cost that. But he said Auburn ain't lost a game at home in quite a while.
That's right.
And he said,
16 in a row, I think.
He said Texas A&M got the 12th man in football, and said we got the 7th man in basketball. And I'm gonna hope he's listening to you. So I'm gonna tell you right now, yeah, you got 7 men in basketball, 5 players and 2 officials. You got that? 5 players and 2 officials. That's why you only lost 1 game. But you also lost to Appalachian State. So you can be beat. And we coming to win 74-67. But if we lose, we don't lose as much as you do if you lose. Go Gamecocks. Talk to you later. Love all y'all.
You know, Gamecock Larry, Chris, he's as good as you are at pregame preparation. I mean, he
knows
is
his
really,
stuff, doesn't he?
I
Yeah.
mean, he knew that that's right. Auburn lost by 5 at Appalachian State. He knew that. He was all over that. I'm telling you, he must get the game notes and study it like you do.
Well, I appreciate the compliment there, but if Carolina is able to hold Auburn in the 60s, they will win. Gamecock Larry will be 100% correct. That will be as good a defensive game as they could possibly play to keep those guys in the 60s because, as I mentioned yesterday at home, they're an entirely different bunch. That Appalachian State game was in Boone in front of a raucous crowd, and Appalachian did that, held them to 64. And you look at the games they've lost. They lost to Baylor in the opener. They scored 82 in that game, scored 75 in their loss at Alabama, and then scored 65 in their most recent game at Florida. Where they struggle is when they can't put up 80, 90 points a game. And that's what you've got probably one of, if not the best defensive teams in the SEC. Certainly the team with the most road wins in the conference coming in there. They've just got to find a way to translate defense travels, and they're going to need it to travel for sure tonight.
Well, I'm going to be very interested to see the battle inside between Brown from Auburn, who's very, very good, not only a good scorer, but a good shot blocker, against Murray Boyles of South Carolina, the freshman stepping into this kind of a situation. Of course, again, he faced this situation at Tennessee with 20-something thousand, and they took care of their business. But now, people have to really be on alert about Murray Boyles after what he did last week, 31 points and a lot of other good stuff. And this battle inside tonight will be, I think, critical to how this game's going to turn out because both teams have quality bigs who can do things around the basket. Okay, we're going to hit the break here on Sports Talk, and we'll come back with more. And we'll take more phone calls as well. 888-898-2525 is our number, the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Back in a moment.
The solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Police say 1 person was killed in a shooting at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade. Chiefs fan Lisa Money says she didn't know what was happening.
It become chaotic. I hear down, 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 everybody down. And I'm like, joking. You know, this is what I'm thinking. At the same time, SWAT teams jumping over the fence. And I'm like, okay, this might be real.
Kansas City Police Chief Stacey Graves said at a news conference Wednesday that one person is dead and 15 people were injured. It's not clear how many were injured by gunshots. Graves said 2 people have been taken into custody and has heard that fans may have been involved in apprehending a suspect, but she couldn't confirm that. A Georgia judge has scheduled a Thursday hearing on a motion to prohibit Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis from continuing to pursue her election interference case against former President Trump and others. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
A defense attorney in the case argued in a court filing last month that a romantic relationship between Willis and Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade disqualifies them both. The filing says Willis personally benefited from the prosecution when Wade paid for vacations for the pair, creating a conflict of interest. The DA has acknowledged the relationship, but has said it has no bearing on the serious criminal charges against Trump. I'm Julie Walker.
Republican Speaker Mike Johnson says the U.S. House will not feel rushed to pass the $95 billion foreign aid package for Ukraine, Israel, and other allies. His private remarks Wednesday signal a further stall over sending military hardware and munitions that Kyiv badly needs to fight Russia. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 151 points today. More at townhall.com.
Retirement Outlook. If your retirement account is mostly stocks or bonds, listen closely. The future of your savings may be more uncertain than ever before. Hi, I'm Paul Stone, CEO of Colonial Metals. The sad truth is, our government continues to eat away at our freedoms and security. In economic times like these, run around the flagpole by lunatics in Washington, I look to the most trusted store of wealth in human history, physical gold and silver that you own. At Colonial Metals, we specialize in helping folks with IRAs and 401ks and other retirement accounts move their savings into physical gold and silver. If you'd like a free gold investment kit, give us a call today at 820-800-8000. My team is standing by ready to rush a free gold investment kit to you. You may also qualify for $7,500 in free silver and a free safe. Call 820-800-8000 now. That's 820-800-8000.
Colonial Metals is not a financial advisor. Consult with your advisor before investing.
That's 820-800-8000.
It is the waning hours of Valentine's Day, and correspondent Haya Panjwani reports on the story of how those flowers at the florist come through Florida for Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day is a busy time for the Miami International Airport. Around 90% of the roses and fresh-cut flowers being sold for Valentine's Day in the United States come through Miami. That's according to the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. Abel Serrano is the Customs and Border Protection Branch Chief for Agriculture Air Cargo. He says their job is to check for pests.
Our mission here is to avoid and stop any possible exotic pests, plant exotic pests to establish in the United States. Also, this will also include animal diseases.
The next big flower day that the airport will have to prepare for will be in May, on Mother's Day. I'm Haya Panjwani.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Mostly clear this evening, a low dipping to 37. Tomorrow, another nice day. More sunshine and clouds, especially the first half of the day. Our high is 67. Look for the opposite on Friday with more cloud than sun. While on Saturday, it could be a rainy day for us. It'll also be cooler highs in the 50s. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
As a kid, you dreamed of being a firefighter one day. Now, the opportunity is yours. Answer the sound of sirens. Live your dream. Become a part of a team, a family. Visit scvolunteerfire.org to find out more.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2000. 888-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, we're back on Sports Talk Media Network. Phil Kornblut here at Neville Arena here at Auburn University. Fans are starting to come in. The students are getting in their spot, what they call the jungle here at Neville Arena. It's going to be wild and crazy. The Gamecocks and Auburn tipping off at 8:30 Eastern time on the SEC Network. Auburn an 11.5-point favorite. Clemson and Miami getting underway tonight. They're playing at Little John Coliseum. Joseph Girard III given a basketball by Clemson commemorating point number 2,000 that, appropriately enough, he scored last Saturday when they were playing at Syracuse. Tigers going to start their regular lineup tonight. They're underway. Hunter, Shefflin, Clark, Girard, and Hall starting for the Tigers. And Miami, of course, with Nigel Pack. And they're a team that has been beset by injuries in ACC play. They've had at least one starter out in their last 7 ACC games. It's really hurt them. But this is a team that beat Clemson in January down at Miami, shot 75% in the second half, just wore out the Tigers. I think Clemson will be much better from that standpoint tonight, Chris.
They better be, or they'll lose again, because Miami's talented enough to beat Clemson if the Tigers don't have any interest in playing defense the way they did in that second half. I mean, Miami would have beaten anybody that night the way they shot it in the second half of play. But the fascinating matchup to watch is P.J. Hall for Clemson and Norshad Omier for Miami down inside. Those are two guys who probably, certainly P.J. Hall, I'm not sure where Omier stacks up, but you may be looking at 2 first-team All-ACC performers going head-to-head tonight.
All right, let me get the name right on the player here at Auburn. I said Brown. His name is Broom, Janai Broom, 6'10", center forward out of Plant City, Florida. Began his career at Morehead State, averaging 16 and 8. Then you got Jalen Williams, grad student, 6'8", averaging 13 and 5. Also with Broom, averaging about 2.5 blocks per game. Then you got 6'6" Chris Moore, not averaging a whole bunch, 2.3. Then Denver Jones, who's 6'4", averaging about 8. And then Trey Donaldson, 6'3", averaging a little over 7. So the thing about Auburn's lineup, Chris, is that they are long and lean, kind of like Tennessee. They remind me of Tennessee in terms of their length across their starting 5. But the Gamecocks have pretty good length. I tell you what the Gamecocks need tonight. They need Michie Johnson's jumper outside to return. They need that badly tonight, I think.
I think they've got to make about 11 threes and play their normal defensive game plan and control the tempo. That's what they were able to do at Tennessee. They got off to that great start against the Vols and just kept the crowd out of it. And that's what you got to do to Auburn when you go into a road arena, especially one as hostile as Neville Arena is going to be tonight. You got to take that crowd out of the game as quickly as you can. And one way you do it, make shots on offense and prevent the other team and play some great defense. But I think tempo is key. Bruce Pearl talked about this yesterday or the day before. He said they've got to find a way to be able to get out and run and get in transition, which is something Carolina just can't allow to happen.
They are a high-scoring team, no question about it. And if they get it going and they get the crowd going, that's going to be very, very tough.
Yeah.
But, again, I keep referencing that Tennessee game. I was there for that one when the Gamecocks were not ranked, and Tennessee was ranked number 5. And that was no accident that the Gamecocks won that game that night. They played their brand of basketball. They kept the game at their speed, at their tempo, did not let Tennessee get it going, and did not let that crowd, cause them to come unglued. I mean, they held Tennessee to 59 points. That was a team averaging about 82 points a game, as I recall, at that time. Gamecocks won that game 63-59. They're on a 7-game winning streak. They are doing all kind of great things so far this season. 7 straight wins for the Gamecocks. That's the longest current winning streak in the SEC. Auburn has only lost 28 SEC games here in 9+ seasons. Bruce Pearl, he loves playing the Gamecocks. He's 20-7 against the Gamecocks in his career at Auburn and at Tennessee. Auburn, this will be the 50th meeting. Auburn's won 6 in a row. They lead the series 30-19, 6-1 here in Neville Arena. So, and Auburn is undefeated in 16 straight home games, and are 8-1 against ranked teams. See, Chris, I've done my homework as well.
Nicely done. I'm impressed.
Me, Gamecock Larry, we're on top of things. We're on top of things tonight.
Got one other stat to throw at you because it sort of speaks to tempo. All 19 of the wins for Auburn this season have been by double figures. So Carolina's got to find a way to control the tempo and get it late in the ball game to have any chance, because this team can hit you with a run, 10-0, 15-2, and it's over, because especially at home. Once they get that crowd involved, it's going to be awfully hard to shut that, that valve off.
Yeah.
And so the Gamecocks have to come ready to play for the opening tap, especially on the defensive end. And again, I think they have to make probably around 11 threes, if not more, to have a chance tonight.
All right, Clemson up 11-8 on Miami. Miami had built a brief lead, then Clemson's run off 9 in a row to go back on top. And other basketball tonight of interest to us, we got Presbyterian. Ooh, this would be they got a ways to go, but they're playing at Asheville, and PC is leading by 20, 43-23. That would be a huge upset in the Big South if that holds. Georgia
they
Tech
jumped out to a 10-0 lead.
Yeah.
That's a good way to start it. That's what the Gamecocks need to do tonight. Jump out to a 10-0 lead to start the ball game.
Well, that's what they did at Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee, remember, they jumped out early. But it just sort of, you do that, it just sort of lets the crowd know, even though Tennessee got back into it, of course. They didn't shut them out. But it just kind of lets the home fans know, hey, we're here, we're good, and we're not going to be intimidated, and we're going to play our basketball. You're right, a good start for the visiting team. That's imperative. Georgia Tech leading at Notre Dame 7-6, and High Point leading Upstate 11-2. Furman over VMI 7-4. Mercer 10-7 over Wofford. Greensboro leads the Citadel 10-0. Also coming up tonight, you got Gardner-Webb at Charleston Southern. You got Tennessee at Arkansas. And you got Michigan State leading Penn State 45-31 up in the Big Ten. Seton Hall leading Xavier 10-2. Xavier not having that great season in year two under, what's his name? Guy who came from Arizona who looked at South Carolina.
Chris Miller. And the funny part about Chris Miller is he's on that short list.
Not Chris, it's
Sean
the other
Miller.
Miller.
Sean Miller, I'm
Sean
sorry.
Miller.
Sean
Yeah.
Miller. And Pat's point about Lamont Paris, one of the other guys I saw they had on that short list for Ohio State is Sean Miller.
I could see that. Mm-hmm. All right, a few other things. How about this from the ACC today? By the way, we have some open lines before we get to recruiting, and then we're going to talk to one of the new members of the USC football team, one of the transfers who'll be coming in, and the Gamecocks will be expecting him to contribute right away. Jared Brown, the former receiver from Coastal Carolina. But the ACC announced today that only 15 of their 18 teams beginning in 2025 will participate in the league basketball tournament, and the conference will also stay at 20 league games next season. But only 15 of the 18 teams will make the tournament. What do you think about that?
I thought the number was weird. If you don't want to invite everybody, I get that part. I'm more a guy who condensed the tournament, not expand it. But why 15? I mean, you're still trying to pay homage to Notre Dame, and that's the original 15 before you started adding SMU and Cal and Stanford. I mean, why not drop it back? Now you've got the ultimate opportunity to go back and say go down 14, maybe 12. Invite just 12. Make the regular season really mean something in the ACC. They want to talk about how competitive the league is top to bottom. That's fine. You want to make it really competitive, tell them only 12 teams are going to the ACC tournament. And if you're outside the ACC tournament, chances of you getting into the NCAAs are pretty slim. Well, I would have gone in reverse, not left it at 15.
Yeah, but then again, from a league standpoint, you want to look at it as giving teams who might be on that bubble a chance to go win a game or two, that it might just get them in the NIT at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, if you don't make your league tournament, and say you're a game under 500, you got a chance to win a couple of games to get over 500 or get to 500, you're dead. Your season's over then, which it probably should be anyway.
Right.
And the ACC today approved for 2024 football teams to provide access to in-game video, enhancing ability to make in-game adjustments. Also, teams will provide access to coach-to-player communication devices, allowing for one-way communication between the sideline and the players on the field. Thoughts?
So a microphone in the helmet of the quarterback, is that where we're headed? Like the NFL has, and a microphone in the helmet of the linebacker or the whoever signals in the defense?
Yeah.
Is that where we're headed with the ACC? I think if you've got the technology available, and, at one point in time, you don't want to start adding this kind of stuff because the NCAA was going to try and legislate, all right, if Clemson and South Carolina can have it, how in the world are we going to also get Newberry to have it? But at this point in time, that horse has left the barn so long ago with regards to money. If you've got the technology, why not utilize it? Seems to work really well in the NFL. And, hey, that might eliminate – I wonder if part of this is to help eliminate the sign stealing issue we had with Michigan this year.
Now, I get that. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of all this electronic stuff coming into play. I mean, come on. What's wrong with the old days of signaling in plays and trying to disguise your plays or fool your opponent and having the quarterback trot over to the sideline to get the play? I mean, come on. To watch a guy on the field put his hands to the ear holes in his helmet so he can hear the guy talking to him. I mean, we're just taking more and more of the human element out of it and turning everybody into a robot, into a computer game. That's what we're turning everybody into. Let's get some people. Let's get some humans back involved in this thing. Not that humans are involved.
Humans? You want mistakes allowed? You want officials not to be perfect?
Yeah,
we replay everything now. Last night, the end of the Syracuse North Carolina game must have taken 10 minutes because they reviewed every ball that got batted out of bounds to make sure the clock was right and the possession was right in a game that ultimately I think Syracuse won by 10. I mean, let's legislate some common sense into the game as well. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Let's go that route first.
Well, I mean, replay is not going to go anywhere. It's only going to get expanded as everything else expands. And, I mean, listen, part of the beauty of sports was living with bad calls. That's part of it, but we're taking that all out of it. We're whitewashing everything, and I get it that you want it to be right, but, when you take 5 minutes to review a play, an official makes a call, say it's a catch along the sideline. Was he bobbling the ball? Did he have grasp of the ball? Did he have his feet down? Whatever the case may be, they take 5 minutes to replay that thing, and it's just the official makes a call, and it's like a centimeter off. You could just see the toe touching the white line. Let's say they ruled him inbounds. You just barely see the toe. In real life, at real life time with a human making that judgment call, it could go either way. And we take all this time to see if he got it right. And it could have, even on the replay, it could have gone either way. My point is, it does slow down the whole process. It does take a good bit of the human element and the drama out of the game from that standpoint. I tell you what I hate, and we're going to have this one day, and I'm sure people won't care. We're going to have a Super Bowl end on a replay, right? We're going to have a Super Bowl. We're going to have an official call a touchdown on the last play of the game, and they're going to review it. So you're going to have a team celebrating, thinking they won. Last play of the game, they're going to have a team celebrating, thinking they won. It was a pass near the back line of the end zone. He was juggling a little bit, and his foot was near the line. They signaled touchdown, game over, celebration, but now it goes upstairs, and they overrule, and the other team wins. We're going to have that, right? That's going to happen.
The NFL's worst nightmare right there. That would be by far the worst thing that could possibly happen, that you have the Super Bowl decided on a play like that, and 5 minutes later we actually find out who won the game. And I think you're right. Ultimately, you would think laws of physics and laws of average would tell you ultimately sometime that's going to happen. And by the way, Syracuse won by 7 last night, not 10. So excuse me.
Oh, you made a mistake.
So is that a good win for Clemson or a bad win for Clemson since they beat both North Carolina and Syracuse?
Really. I think
how do you factor that into the net?
I think it kind of blends. It blends its way out. It's a wash. It's a wash. Poll question of the week, which is available for you on our X. Got to quit saying Twitter. I mean, you can't keep calling it Twitter. It's not Twitter anymore. It's X. All right.
Until they change the web handle.
That's true.
I mean, when I can still type in, I can't type in x.com and I'm afraid to. Can I go to Twitter? But I know I can type in twitter.com and go there.
That's funny. So our poll question of the week, baseball season opens on Friday. Which team in the state do you think is the most likely one to finish the season in Omaha? Though I left off the E in the word one. Way to go, Corn. Which is the most likely one to finish the season in Omaha? 613 votes are in. Gamecocks still have a hefty lead, 62.5%. Clemson's at 21%. Coastal Carolina, a lot of fans like the Shots, 15.3%. And the College of Charleston getting a little bit of a push here. They're up to 1.1%. We'll have Coach Chad Holbrook with us tomorrow night, 7:30, to preview his team. So, hey, Coastal Carolina getting some support from some parts of the state, thinking they're going to make it all the way to Omaha.
I think that's a very good possibility because, as Coach Gilmore just pointed out, if they can figure out the pitching, and certainly those injuries are a concern, but they're going to score 10 runs a game. I mean, that offense is just insanely good, especially with the guys he referenced they have coming back. I think Coastal's got as good a shot as anybody in the state to get back to Omaha. And wouldn't that be fitting? The final year of Gary Gilmore, he gets them back to the College World Series one last time.
Talk about conspiracy theorists. They'd be all over that, right?
There's no doubt. And they're actually going to Omaha. You were talking on Monday to Jim Tillman that you're going to have to buy him a steak if one of our teams got out there. Well, Coastal's actually going there during the regular season. They play a 2-game set against Creighton. So does that count? You owe Coach Tillman a tomahawk steak because certainly
that's
will
not
have
exactly
one team
the trip to Omaha we're all thinking about, It's nice to buy your way out to Omaha. It's another thing to earn your way out to Omaha. So, okay, let's go to the break. And we've got Jake behind the board right now as he learns to push the buttons and turn the dials. Doing a great job. And as we go to break, we'll tell you Clemson, Miami, it's 18-15 Tigers. And so far, for Clemson, leading the way for the Tigers with 5 points is Gerard. Clemson shooting 50%. Miami is shooting 40%. Give you the recruiting report after this break.
Major Billy Downer, the Department of Natural Resources, and DNR is excited to announce the implementation of Go Outdoors SC, a new online licensing and boat titling system that you can access right from your phone. Through this new system, customers can purchase their hunting and fishing licenses, renew their boats, apply for lottery hunt opportunities, and complete electronic harvest reporting requirements. For more information, visit Go Outdoors SC at your local app store.
Hi, I'm Jim Corbett. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years. There's one thing I've learned about injury cases. It's you need the personal touch. You need the lawyer to get to know you and describe your damages. You don't want a case manager talking to an insurance company and then talking to you and then talking maybe to a lawyer with limited experience at the last minute to try to settle a case. I talk to you. I find out what your case is about. Jim at JimCorbettAttorney.com. Jim at JimCorbettAttorney.com for your injury cases.
Last throw, big guy.
Come on, baby. I need me a giant bear.
I got this. I'm the target. Ben, throw.
Oh, yeah!
Oh, well. Look who won a giant bear. That's a grizzly.
Oh, Mama's baby bear.
When you join the South Carolina Education Lottery's Players Club, you get way more than you expect. More chances, more wins, and more surprises.
Yeah, he's had all his shots. Just don't look him in the eye.
Join the Players Club at seeducationlottery.com because more happens here.
George Bryant for Tsunami Bar Sports, our inventor, David Abernathy, has always said Tsunami Bar technology allows us to take the training to the grass. Now I know through my sport of golf that natural agility can be converted to athletic ability. And why is this, Tsunami, Robbie?
Transferring the training to the grass. This may be the most undervalued characteristic of the Tsunami flexible bar technology. The Tsunami bar action loads and unloads at the concentric and eccentric transition point. This is what we call reversal force. And the Tsunami Bar is the only bar and training device that I know of that can train these reversal forces adequately at speed.
Hey, this is Phil Kornbluth. The Tsunami Bar is a terrific training device, whether you're working on your fitness or your golf game. It's convenient, it's easy to use, and you won't feel beat up afterwards. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com and get 5% off any order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait. Order today. All right, let's give you the recruiting report tonight right here on Sports Talk. It is brought to you by our good friends over at Seawells. Make sure you get by the rest of this week if you haven't done so, or if you have done so, nothing wrong with going back for seconds. Get back to Seawells for the daily luncheon buffet. You like that, huh? Going back for seconds? Yeah. Get back for seconds or thirds. I'd go 3 times. Get to Seawells for the daily luncheon buffet every day, 11 till 2, when they're open, which is most every day, though sometimes they are closed for a private event. And, of course, it's only $14, and they have the best food in the state of South Carolina. So check them out. And for catering, you just want to give Seawells a call. Let them handle all your catering needs, from planning to setup to delivery to cleanup. They do it all. That is Seawells, 803-771-7385. Online, SeawellsCateringSC.com. An update on receiver Malik Clark from Rock Hill, 6'2" and 180. Caught 46 passes for 800 yards and 9 touchdowns last season. He's garnered nearly 30 offers thus far. South Carolina is on board with him, while Clemson is becoming more interested. Right now, he says he's an open book. He's looking around. He's looking to be in a school that's competitive, opportunity to play with a good education. The Gamecocks have been on him for a long time. He was there last spring for a visit, last summer for a 7-on-7. He took in a pair of games last season. He was in for their January 20th junior day. He also had Shane Beamer at his school in January, and he's been communicating with the Gamecocks head man, really likes him. Likes the fact that he senses him as a normal coach, not some kind of, big star, just a normal guy. He likes that. He likes the coaching staff. He likes the people around South Carolina, he says. He's also gotten to know the new receivers coach, James Coley. He said they talk almost every day. Coley told him he was his first offer at South Carolina and told him he's a special guy. He likes how he can get in and out of his breaks, and he feels like he can elevate his game. Now, Clemson is becoming more interested. He's had contact with receivers coach Tyler Grisham, and he plans to attend the Tigers' next junior day on March the 9th. He said it's just kind of new with Clemson. They're just kind of getting started and figuring things out. But he's been to their camps the last 2 years, and he said the receivers coach reached out personally to him about a month ago. Clark also wants to visit Tennessee and Indiana this spring. He's not said any officials, but he said USC will be one of those stops. He also has offers from Nebraska, Maryland, Coastal, East Carolina, Duke, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Virginia, Virginia Tech, North Carolina, NC State, West Virginia, and Cincinnati. One more note, safety Jonte Gilbert of Atlanta has set an official visit with South Carolina for June 7th, reported by Chad Simmons of On3. He's a guy South Carolina and Clemson are both getting after. He's got South Carolina down. The only official he has down on paper now, and that's South Carolina on June the 7th. There you go with the recruiting report for tonight, brought to you by Seawells. All right, up at Clemson, 23-18, the Tigers continue to lead the Hurricanes of Miami. Miami's won for their last 8. Girard with a couple of threes. He's up to 10 points to lead all scorers in this one. We're back after this break here on Sports Talk.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Mostly clear this evening, a low dipping to 37. Tomorrow, another nice day. More sunshine and clouds, especially the first half of the day. Our high is 67. Look for the opposite on Friday with more clouds than sun. While on Saturday, it could be a rainy day for us. It can also be cooler, highs in the 50s. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
Hey, why not try something extreme and exciting this year, like Extreme Pogo? Woohoo! Going for the backflip. Or maybe something really adventuresome, like wingsuit flying. Tree. Or maybe just try eating extremely good pizza from the Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers. Hand-tossed, spring-water dough, fresh ingredients, all baked on the stove. Now that's exciting and extremely delicious. The Mellow Mushroom in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting authorities say at least 8 children are among 22 people who were hit by gunfire in a shooting at the conclusion of the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl victory parade Wednesday. Police say 1 person was killed. Kansas City Police Chief Stacey Graves says 3 people have been detained for investigation. Special counsel Jack Smith has urged the Supreme Court to let former President Trump's 2020 election interference case proceed to trial without further delay. Prosecutors were responding Wednesday to a Trump team request from earlier in the week asking for a continued pause in the case as the court considers whether to take up the question of whether the former president is immune from prosecution for official acts in the White House. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 151 points, the Nasdaq rose 203. More details at srnnews.com.
You don't normally call a plumber until you need a plumber. Well, if you need one today or if you need one tomorrow, I want you to remember Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. Listen, I might not know all the tricks to turning a wrench, but I do know how a plumbing company should work and how to treat people. My dad was a plumber. My grandfather was a plumber, and so were 3 of my uncles. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning does it right. They are the epitome of customer service. They're locally owned and operated, and Josh and his team, well, they put customer service as the top priority for Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. I've never known a business owner more intent on making it a great experience for people. And let's face it, when you have a plumbing crisis, well, that could be traumatic. They specialize in service and replacement issues for your home or for your business. They've been to my home and fixed 3 different plumbing issues I had in the house. If you need them, they're there to help. Online at franklinplumbing.sc.com or call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning 799-2222. That's 799-2222. And tell them Kev sent you from The Point.
Hi, I'm Tazima. Join me every Saturday at 11 a.m. for Small Business Saturday. We'll celebrate business owners in our community while learning their stories of success and failure. It's Small Business Saturday right here at 100.7 The Point.
Hey, honey, do you remember if Dad took his meds this morning?
You know, I'm not sure.
He isn't either. Keeping up with his meds is overwhelming.
You know, True Pharmacy packages medication. They showed me a sample, and it even separates them by date and time of day.
Something like that would be really helpful for Dad and for me.
Even better, it's free, just for being their customer. True Pharmacy, 1628 Charleston Highway and 3217 Devine Street, or TrueRxSC.com.
Even if you haven't seen them yet, you know they're coming. Weeds. I'm Paul Romanstein, proud owner of Midlands Landscape and Lawns. And now is the time to get started on that beautiful lawn. Sign up for our Midlands Green Treatment Program, and our lawn experts will give your turf the fertilization it needs while conquering the weeds. Aren't you ready to have a green, lush lawn this year? Give us a try. Midlands Landscape and Lawns. Schedule an appointment today on hateweeds.com. That's right, hateweeds.com.
Thinking about investing in a hot tub? Great idea. Hot tubs offer relaxing hydrotherapy for tired muscles and stressed minds. But beware, all spas are not the same. At Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio, we offer hot spring and free flow spas exclusively for their quality, energy efficiency, and affordability. And we have everything to keep your spa and pool sparkling, clean, and crystal clear. Come see it all at Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio, Forest Drive, and JackOliverPools.com.
Hi, this is Joel Lurie. I'm the host of Health Matters every Monday morning from 9 to 10 right here on 100.7 The Point. Join me as we talk about issues impacting your health and our community. It's Health Matters every Monday at 9 a.m. right here on The Point.
All right, welcome back. Sports Talk Media Network from here at Neville Arena at Auburn. Be sure to follow our coverage on our X at Sports Talk. That sounds like you're divorced when you say at our X. Like, who follow? I'm not divorced.
Twitter.
Okay, I got 45 years in. So when you say follow at my X, that just damn, Corn got divorced. His wife
That's
is
our
putting
former
out
sports talk show.
Follow on Twitter if you still want to call it Twitter. Follow on Twitter at SportsTalkSC, and of course we'll have post game for you on our website SportsTalkSC.com. You know, they just put the Clemson game on the big screens here inside Neville Arena. How about that? They got the Clemson Miami game playing in front of us on the big screens. 25-19 Clemson. It's been a while since Miami last scored. They're 1 for their last 8. No field goals for the last 222. Is that for Miami? Now they have scored. It's 25-21. Clemson with 6:54. We've got coverage of the Clemson game as well. We have a reporter there from TigerNet who's covering for us. And so we'll have, should be tweeting on our Twitter, X.
They are.
And we'll have post-game audio from Brad Brownell and a post-game story as well. Other basketball to update, 50-35, PC over Asheville, 17-25 to play. Notre Dame, 26-22 over Georgia Tech, late first. And High Point leading Upstate, 30-15, 6:52 to go in the first. Gardner-Webb, 22. Charleston Southern, 10. 6:51 in the first. Furman, 37-24 over VMI late in the first. Mercer, 31-24 over Wofford late in the first. Oh, my. Oh, my. UNC Greensboro, 31. The Citadel, 9. Ugh. Ugh. That's 6:28 to go in a first half that can't get over fast enough for the Bulldogs. So, all right, let's talk some football. Jared Brown is now a Gamecock after playing at Coastal Carolina and having a fine career 2021, 2022, and 2023. Played in 27 games with the Shots. He caught 108 passes, 1,534 yards, 11 touchdowns. His long, a catch of 75 yards for a touchdown, averaged over 14 yards per catch. And now he's coming to South Carolina. Had a chance to talk with him last week, get his thoughts about being a Gamecock. How has the transition gone for you? You've gone from being a Chanticleer to a Gamecock, from Teal to Garnet within the state. What's the move been like for you?
You know, it's definitely been a transition, you know, coming from the Summit to the SEC. Just the workload, just the daily things that we do. But, you know, I am making an adjustment, and I think I'm heading in the right direction right now.
Well, people might say, hey, man, running routes, catching footballs, whether it's at Coastal or South Carolina or wherever, shouldn't be all that hard. What's the most difficult part of the transition?
I would just say the most difficult part is the physicality. The physicality I know is more in the SEC than the Sun Belt, but other than that, you know, it's just football. So, you know, I just got to play and be consistent and do what I've been doing.
Sun Belt football is good football. It's not SEC, but it is still good high-level football. So what do you think you have to do in terms of stepping up your game to the SEC level? What areas of improvement and development do you need here?
So what I need to do is I need to add on, you know, weight, but like not fat, but just muscle, you know, so I can withstand all those blows, you know, in the SEC. You know, the Sun Belt also, you know, like I also had to get bigger there because, you know, at the end of the day, it's still college football at the end of the day, you know, no matter what conference you're in. But I would say that, and I would say, no, like I feel like I can get in and out of routes good, but, you know, they can be better. So that's kind of strength and a weakness for me because, you know, my speed really like helps me out, get out of those breaks, you know, and beat that defender to that spot. So I would say, you know, just route running and all, I would need to work on just to perfect.
Do you like going across the middle?
if I can get the ball in any way, you know, I'll do it. But yeah.
You played with a great quarterback there at Coastal Carolina when he was healthy, in Grayson McCall. What was it like catching balls from him? And now you're transitioning to, in all likelihood, Lenore Sellers here. So catching balls from a guy that completed about 80% of his passes and now coming into a new situation. How do you view that change from one to the other?
Yeah, I mean, Grayson was a great quarterback. You know, he knew where to put the ball every time. He made the right reads. You know, I loved Grayson, but Lenoris played like Lenoris is a young guy, but he plays like a senior. You know, like his balls are great. He knows where to put them. The timing is down. So I feel like if we keep on the path that we're on right now, then we should have a great season in the passing game.
When you put your name in the portal and started looking around at other schools, why did you choose South Carolina? What was the connection there? What was the primary attraction for you?
I mean, South Carolina needed some veterans, some experience, and I felt like I could add that to the room. When I came on my official visit, they just made me feel like home. They made me feel like I was at home. You know, they were genuine about everything that they were saying, and then they gave me an opportunity to come in and compete, and that is all I want to do. You know, the team is like a brotherhood. The locker room is strong. The guys in the locker room they love each other, and you know that's somewhere that I want to spend the next 2 years at.
Is it a little bit easier because you're new and the receivers coach is new, so he has no preconceived notions about things? Does that kind of like open up the competition for everybody and everybody's got a fresh start?
It definitely does. It definitely does. You know, this is a new coach. You know, he doesn't know anybody. You know, the only thing that he knows about us is our film that he watches. So other than that, everyone is on a clean slate right now. Everyone can compete and everyone can just, you know, earn their spot.
What do you think of Coach Coley, his communication style, his coaching style? How well have you two connected so far?
Coach Coley knows what he's talking about. He's been at the big time schools. You know, he was at Texas A&M last year. So, you know, he's seen and coached some of the greats, you know, some of the guys in the NFL. So, hey, if he's sending them to the NFL, you know, any way that he coaches, you know, I'm gonna like, you know. So, yeah.
What are they asking of you in their package with receivers?
Just to be that veteran, just to be that leader in the room. You know, we haven't really dove into, you know, play calling and, you know, the plays and all that, but we have seen some of the formation and stuff like that. So, you know, I don't know it right now.
All right, there you go. Comments from Jared Brown. Nobody on this broadcast knows him better than Chris Bergen. You watched him run routes from the sideline for 3 years. What do you like about him?
Just his speed and his ability to make plays. I mean, here's a guy, not only you touched on his receiving numbers, but Phil, don't forget, in his last 2 years at CCU, he rushed the ball 35 times for over 400 yards and scored 2 touchdowns. I found it fascinating, though, that he said he felt like at least the playing weight that he had at Coastal, at least the listed weight, was just shy of 200 pounds. At 6 feet, that seems like a perfect weight for him, but he was talking about he needed to bulk up even more to handle the hitting in the SEC. So, I mean, if he goes up to 210, 215, does that hurt his speed? I wouldn't want, if I'm him, I wouldn't want to sacrifice what makes me Jared Brown just so I can make sure I can withstand some hits in the SEC. I did like how he dodged your question about does he like to go over the middle? He's smart enough to say, well, you know, anyway I can get the ball, but I'd rather not have to do that.
Yeah.
He's a smart kid. There's no doubt.
So, got to be kind of cool catching footballs from Grayson McCall for the better part of 3 years. Mm-hmm. Now you get to go catch balls most likely from Lenora Sellers, who, again, we're just talking about promise here. We don't know with him fully in charge, taking every snap, running the offense, exactly what it's going to be like. But the promise is there, and the glimpses we've had are pretty impressive. It's got to be exciting to go from a guy like McCall to go to this young guy with a big arm.
I would think so, I thought it was somewhat of a interesting point he brought up that he feels like Lenore Sellers in the short period of time he's worked with him is an old guy like Grayson McCall. He talked about it clearly. Grayson, a veteran in the offense that Coastal ran up until this past season when they had the coaching change. But he talked about Lenore Sellers may be a freshman, but he doesn't play like that. He plays like an older guy. And if you're a Gamecock fan, that's got to make you extremely excited that you've got a guy who's already starting to be a veteran leader in the locker room, especially a quarterback. I think it's going to be awfully difficult. Fascinated for the spring. If there's one thing I think USC fans are going to be interested to watch during the spring, it's that quarterback battle, isn't it? I mean, that's the only question mark. I think the question mark, rather, maybe not the only one, but the question mark that you have going into the spring. Who comes out of there as the incumbent starter going into the season?
Well, we know that Sellers will take the first snap as
Sure.
the number one quarterback. It's going to be up to him and to protect what he's got. Ashford's coming in with experience as a starter in the SEC. He's a big guy. I don't know that he has a reputation of a tremendous passer. Again, Sellers' reputation is still to be determined. We know what he did in high school, but that's high school. I mean, DeCarrion Joyner passed for like over 10,000 yards in high school, okay? It just never translated for him as a quarterback at the next level in college. So Ashford's a bit of a proven commodity. Now, he's not a great passer based on what we saw at Auburn, but
want to mess around in the quarterback room. It would be nice, though, and the fear you have from a Clemson perspective is what were to happen if Cade Klubnik goes down in that Georgia game to open the season and he's out for a while. I mean, where do they go from there? You have very little, if any, experience. You'd run out there behind him. And so that's the problem. It's not that they lean so heavily on Cade Klubnik because they just don't have anybody, I don't think, right now ready to go behind them. Now, we may find out differently once we get into the season. But I think also the thing that Dabo Sweeney has in his hip pocket that maybe Shane Beamer does not. Dabo can say, all right, just as long as you don't mess it up, Cade, we'll turn it over to that defense and let the defense keep us in the game until the offense finally figures something out and scores enough points to win. That won't work against Georgia.
No, I was about
but it'll
to
work
say.
against most teams. It won't work against Georgia in the season opener. They're going to have to score, but it'll work against most teams they play.
You know, when you talk about Clemson and Georgia, all right, we're already seeing some preseason polls coming out. The way too early this, the way too early that. That's fine. And we're not seeing Clemson, of course, in their customary top 4, top 5, top 6 spot. You know, we're seeing projections of 16, 17, et cetera. So when the preseason poll comes out that matters, the AP preseason poll, I would expect we're going to see Clemson outside the top 10. You know, maybe a little bit down, maybe 15, somewhere in there. I don't know. We'll wait and see. But my point is, lose to Georgia, and you're going to drop even deeper in the poll, maybe even fall out if you lose to Georgia. And, of course, not that really has a huge impact on what the playoff committee will say at the end of the season if you need an at-large bid. I mean, if you go ahead and win the rest of your games and win the ACC, you're going to be in automatically. But let's just say you don't. Let's say Florida State wins the ACC again, but you have a good season. Maybe you go 10-2, and you know you're a good argument for an at-large. My point is, in the minds of the committee and the public, you got to work your way a long way back up in the polls to get that kind of attention because you're going to be knocked way down. Now, you know, go beat Georgia to open the season, and you're going to shoot right up into the top 5 or 7, I would say, and be right where you want to be going forward from there.
Oh, I would agree wholeheartedly. But, and where they put Clemson is going to be interesting. But I don't know that now it's nearly as important as it was this past season or the year before. With 12 teams in the playoff, the wiggle room is a lot greater. I mean, Clemson could afford to start 20th, where they finished last year in the AP poll, and move up and get inside the top 12. Certainly, that won't matter when the selection committee rolls around. But, yeah, they'll have a ways to go if they were to lose to Georgia. But I don't think it's as big a weight on you this year as it was in years past.
Really looking forward to that game at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in downtown Atlanta. That place it'll be rocking. I mean, look, Georgia's going to be most likely picked preseason number 1 once again. So, and this is going to be a great opportunity for Clemson to prove to the nation that they are still elite. I think if they lose, and let's just say they lose badly, there's no reason to think that way because Clemson's defense is going to be very good. And they think their offensive line is going to be better. And they think that the running game is going to be strong. And maybe, Klubnik definitely should take a step up with his off-season work, his preseason work. He should definitely be improved. But, I mean, if they lose, they're going to have a hard time convincing people against the rest of their schedule moving forward that they're elite, unless they do run the table and get back in position for an at-large bid or win the ACC championship. Taking another loss to Georgia, taking a loss to Georgia like that in a primetime game like that is going to be a setback. And maybe, people are going to say there's more indication that Dabo Swinney needs to change his ways in what he's doing in recruiting. Though recruiting his high school players the way he is, he's still doing fine, and he's still having highly rated classes. But I think the pressure is really on Clemson to win that game to just sort of get back to where they're used to being. Lose that game, and you got to kind of tell people, you got to convince people verbally that we're still good, and then go out and do it against other teams. But Georgia gives you that great opportunity against the number 1 team in the country to go right out and prove it right out of the gate that you're back and you're going to be a factor this entire season.
Well, the funny part, and you're right, Clemson probably there is pressure for them to win that game, but afterwards, their schedule is a whole lot easier than what Georgia's going to have to face. The pressure actually, to me, is going to be on Georgia if they are preseason number 1, because the amount of room that they'll have to slip afterwards is very, very limited. I mean, they've got to go to Alabama this year. They've got to go to Texas. They've got Florida in the neutral site game. They've got Tennessee at home. But, I mean, they've got some games in there this year, unlike last year's schedule, which was a joke for a team as talented as Georgia. They've got some teams in there that they could slip up against. So that Clemson game is about as important for them as it is for the Tigers, if maybe not even more so, for their hopes to, again. But the safety net is out there now. We have to look at the college football season a lot differently, I think, Phil, moving forward. You can lose a game or two and still get into the playoffs, whereas you couldn't afford to do that in the past. And that's why I think it's starting to cheapen the regular season, because you look at Georgia, and let's say with their schedule, and say, all right, Bulldogs, you've got to find a way. If you want to get into and don't win the SEC, you can only lose 2 ball games. But there are 5 in there that you could potential swing games. Now, you probably lose 3, and I would think a 9-3 Georgia team probably finds a way to get into the playoffs, don't you?
A 9-3 Georgia team?
Mm-hmm. With their schedule, playing in the SEC, with their reputation, I think they would find a way to sneak in. Whereas in years past, there's no way they've gotten in.
3 losses. Considering, I mean, if one of those losses is the Clemson, then you figure the other 2 are within the SEC. Now,
right,
if they lose a regular season SEC game, they can still get to the SEC championship, of course, and then lose that game. Yeah, I guess. The committee, they're supposed to be meeting and voting on their format, which they, from what I've read, looks like it's going to be 5 automatics and 7 at-large selections.
Right.
5 by 7. So, I mean, if Georgia doesn't win the SEC championship, let's say they lose in the SEC championship game, so the SEC champion will go automatically, are there seven other teams out there at large wise that you would take over Georgia, even with 3 losses?
I don't know.
That's a good question that we'll be debating. We'll be debating that a lot.
But it's one we would never have to worry about in the past because your margin for error was so slim in the past. That's why I love the smaller playoff, because it made the regular season so important. Now there's some leeway. There's a lot more leeway than there ever has been.
Wait till they go to 16 in the next 2 years. You know. Oh, yeah. They're not done. They're not done. Let's give everybody a trophy. Clemson leads Miami 31-30 at the break. The Tigers only won for their last 11. A 6-0 run for Miami to close out the half. Clemson 0 for 7, their last 7 shots, and 1 for their last 11. Didn't score for the last 354. And P.J. Hall, only 3 points and only 1 shot. And that was a 3-pointer. He played 15 minutes. What's up with that? Why is P.J. Hall only taking 1 shot? I mean, I'm not able to watch the game closely.
Right.
Girard's got 10. Shefflin has not scored. Got 5 rebounds. Hunter's got 8. That's very odd for the Tigers. Joseph has 9 for Miami. Poplar has 8. So Clemson up 1, a skinny point, 31-30. I got to believe they're going to get the ball to P.J. Hall a lot. I don't know. Have you been able to watch it? Is Miami doing something funky defensively to take him out of the game?
That would be my guess. I have not. I've been able to glance on occasion. I've got it in the background, but I haven't been able a chance to key in on what they're doing. So I don't know the answer to that question. But yeah, P.J. Hall, 15 minutes, only 1 attempt from the field, and it's a 3. So he got nothing around the basket. Yeah, that can't happen in the second. I will say this: if he only gets about 3 or 4 shots in the second half, Clemson's not going to win. I mean, your best player has to take more than 5 shots. Don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I'm not a basketball expert by saying that, but I mean, when you get a guy who's first team All ACC performer, you got to get him the basketball.
Ain't no doubt. I'm sure Brownell's working on something to make sure that happens. All right, let's touch on these other games before we leave you. Asheville catching up, pedaling hard on PC. 56-51, PC, 11:02 to play. Notre Dame 31-28 over Georgia Tech at the half. High Point 39-31 over Upstate at the half. Charleston Southern has come back. Wow. 34-33 over Gardner-Webb at the half. VMI Furman leads 39-34 at the half. Mercer 31-26 over Wofford at the half. And now Citadel, give them credit. They were down, 31-9?
Yeah.
It's now 41-26 at the half. So making a bit of an effort there are the Bulldogs. Okay, reminder, stay on our Twitter, on our X for continued coverage of the Clemson game. And then post-game, we'll have that for you on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. And same on this game, both on our Twitter and our X, Twitter X, and also on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. We'll bring you Lamont Paris's comments to the media. His full comments will be out quickly as soon as he wraps that up. So you'll be able to hear what he had to say to the media as soon as that is wrapped up. Final thoughts on tonight, Chris?
Well, I think obviously back to Clemson for a moment. Got to find a way to get P.J. Hall involved and knock down shots. They're playing good defense. I think Brad Brownell's probably happy about his defense, right around 30 points. So that game's in the 60s. I think they'll be happy with that. But got to find a way to get your best player the basketball. Meantime, for South Carolina, as we mentioned earlier, Phil, got to get in and off and running early. Big, quick start is key to them tonight. Knock down 11 threes and go play defense, and I think they've got a chance.
Okay. Thanks to Jake Schreiber back at our studios in Columbia. Indeed. Thanks to Pat Daniel. And thank you, Chris. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. Have a great night. See you tomorrow back in Columbia on Sports Talk.
UXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Correspondent Jackie Quinn reports at least one person has been killed and more than a dozen people, including 8 children, were injured after gunfire rings out at the Super Bowl victory parade for the Kansas City Chiefs.
It was supposed to be a day for celebration and fun, and then there was deadly gunfire. Kansas City, Missouri Police Chief Stacy Graves.
The people who came to this celebration should expect a safe environment.
The gunfire, after the team had left, sent terrified fans running for cover.
There was screaming. We didn't know what was happening, but this day and age, when people run, you run.
She spoke on KMBC TV. Parade goers captured